Coach JZ here. Thanks for joining me. This is the 2023 equipment update for our training tribe, for many of our one-on-one online coaching clients, as well as anyone who's interested in setting up a home gym, an essential home training center, and is wondering what type of equipment they might want to purchase to get the most out of their training and also to meet space and budget considerations. So the first thing I'm going to say is we can come in extremely affordably, probably around the $50 mark with the Fit Kit, and that's F-I-T-T-K-I-T-T, which we use in the training tribe for most of our outdoor workouts, which occur throughout the year. However, most of those are in the late spring through the summer and into the early fall. A lot of those workouts are performed at parks, playgrounds, various athletic fields and track facilities, and you have a portable setup that you can use, which again is called the Fit Kit. First thing you're going to need is a 5-gallon bucket. You can get these for just a couple dollars at any home supply store. If you're being fancy, you can put some padding on the handle, and if you really want to be cool, you can use camouflage duct tape. That's an option. You can pimp out your bucket with a little artwork, something I need to do one of these days. Then there are a few critical items to take with the Fit Kit. First of all, it's the functional training sandbag. And so I'll link to the video we have for how to make or how to create a functional training sandbag. You can certainly buy a commercial sandbag, and they're quite serviceable, the ones that have the zippers and the handles, but these are a bit more durable, and they actually have a few more applications for the way that we like to train. So the functional training sandbag. Then you'll need a medicine ball, and your medicine ball could be anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds. We want to go relatively light because a lot of the things that we do to develop power and speed, utilizing a lighter ball is more effective in doing that. Looking at the force velocity curve and how we talk about rate of force development in some of our programming. Then there's just a couple more items that will go into the Fit Kit. And again, this becomes a very effective and powerful training setup. You're going to need either an exercise band or an exercise tubing with handles. Most of these are relatively inexpensive, readily available everywhere. Probably a medium resistance for most people. Again, use your judgment, but you don't necessarily need both in the Fit Kit. Just one will get you through most of the things that we're going to do. You also will need a length of nylon webbing or strap or rope, which is rigid and non-yielding, non-elastic for some of the exercises and rigging up that we do with these kits. Heavy rope is good, but the strapping is a little better because it's just easier to grip. And if you can go even 6 to 7 feet long, that's fine. Put a loop or an overhand in each end to make the handles. New thing that we're adding this year is the drag rig. And so you can certainly buy a commercially made waist belt for attaching things that you're going to drag and pull both forwards and backwards. You can also make this with a heavy band and again a length of rope so that it's far enough away that the sandbag, when you're pulling it, doesn't hit you in the feet. Whatever you do though when you're making things or even purchasing them, make sure they're sturdy because safety always needs to come first. So all of this stuff, the Fit Kit, can simply be placed like so in the bucket and it's ready to go. Most people will go to the training venue, maybe throw their water bottle, possibly a towel in there, and they can throw the sandbag over their shoulders. They're fairly portable. One thing I forgot to mention that's also valuable is to have a carabiner. Preferably one that's rated for climbing and is strong, not necessarily one of the inexpensive ones that you kind of get with certain products when you buy them to attach them. We want something that's very sturdy for, again, hooking things up and rigging, which is some of the things that we do with our Fit Kit. So that's the Fit Kit. I'm just going to move it out of the way. And then let's say you have these items, but you also want to have a bit more for training at home. Well, the first thing you need to think about is what's your training center going to look like? Is it going to be just a spot in a room that you go to, or maybe move some stuff around to clear out a space? Is it a dedicated corner of a room? Is it a room in and of itself? Is it the garage, the back porch, the backyard? Anything can and will work. A space to work in, probably at the smallest size, would be about 8 by 8, 8 feet by 8 feet, or 64 square feet. And then there are some items that are going to be essential for the home workouts that we're going to do. I'm going to move the sandbag. Also on those sandbags, there's some information in that video about how much weight yours might want to be. I think for most people we kind of go light, medium, heavy at 30, 40, and 50 pounds. But that can even go as low as 20 or as high as 60 pounds. Again, for the way we're using them in our training. Okay, right away, we've got a bench. Now, if you don't have a bench, because it has multiple uses, we use it for much more than just doing bench presses, you can certainly use a cooler. And if you have a really heavy-duty cooler, like a Yeti or a Pelican, those are even better. The only thing I would suggest is to take a contractor garbage bag and fill it with sand or gravel and put it in the cooler just to get a little more weight and stability, because again, safety always needs to come first, and we don't want that to be tipping. Then, any exercise mat is fine. So this happens to be a yoga mat. It doesn't have to be a yoga mat. It can just be a foam mat, or again, any mat for exercise. Comes in handy when we're doing some of the floor exercises that we use in our programming throughout the year, and it just makes your life more comfortable. However, if you do have a section of carpet or rug that can suffice, that's fine too. Now, when we look at our strength training equipment for the home gym, the first thing that will probably reveal itself to be useful is dumbbells. What I will usually recommend is to go one of two ways. Either purchase 3 dumbbells, or 3 pairs of dumbbells, at what your body seems to determine to be a light, medium, and heavy weight. Now, I usually help most of the tribe members and clients with selecting those numbers. It might be something like 10, 20, 35. It could be 5, 15, 25. It could be 20, 40, 60. Again, it doesn't really matter, but we can determine that or help you to do so. But 3 dumbbells will get most of what you need done, especially for when we're doing our resistance training, working on strength and muscular hypertrophy, which we do in the winter and early spring. The other option is to look into one of the selectorized dumbbell sets, which, like Power Block and other brands, which give you a bit more weight variability in a smaller, compact space, which is always important for the home gym. I usually don't recommend purchasing a rack and a full set of dumbbells unless you already have them or you've got the space and budget to facilitate that. We also want to have a kettlebell, and several kettlebells might be nice, but one kettlebell which allows you to do a variety of movements is going to be really useful. And weight on that might be anywhere from 15 to 30 pounds, again, depending on your personal strength level. One of the most important things, and it's actually a non-negotiable, is to have an overhead bar, pull-up bar, chin-up bar, an anchor system. So that could be using a suspension trainer, again, having several of these connected in a basement to your floor joists or whatever, all that, you can figure out how you want to do this, but we need that overhead anchor both for connecting bands to, for having a high anchor, and doing all sorts of movements. Now, not everyone's doing pull-ups, but we do assisted pull-ups and variations on body weight rows and dead hangs and all sorts of things. So again, we need the overhead anchor, and of course if you're using something like this, you have to have 2 of them. A jump rope is probably one of the best tools for an extensive plyometric or low-level plyometric exercise, and excellent. If you let's say don't have one of these, you can still do what we do often is the virtual or invisible jump rope, especially if a person is struggling with the technique a little bit. And you can acquire this over time. Any serviceable jump rope will work. The speed ropes are really nice, but you don't necessarily have to invest much to get something that's serviceable. The only other thing you'll notice is this platform, which is a plyometric box that the weights are sitting on. That can be substituted with the cooler or the bench if you have that. But over time, for some of the various stepping and split squat exercises as well as jumping movements that we do, the box is nice. You can purchase or build one that's very serviceable. The final thing for the home gym, Essential Home Training Center, is a piece of PVC pipe or a dowel. Could even be a curtain rod or a broomstick, but we need a length of rigid material like this. You know, if John Wick could kill 3 people with 1 pencil, we can certainly do a lot of exercises with a stick. So you can call yours your Wick stick if you want to do that. But we do use these quite a bit and of great value. So you can see already, you know, we can go for just the fit kit at around $50, and then depending on how much you want to spend, you're probably going to be into this at $150 or $200, or maybe a bit more, again, depending on your preferences, to get good equipment that will allow you to do a lot of effective training. Now, for those people who say, I have interests, I have goals, I've got a little more space and a little more budget that I can work with, then we can start to look at some of these other accessories. First of all, if you, and pardon me for bending down here, but if you notice there's just a basic barbell with a 1-inch bar. These are handy and you can do a lot of things. Now, can you do most of the exercises with dumbbells that you would do with the barbell? Yes, but there are a few applications where a barbell is nice, and so many people will eventually put that on their wish list. Also, if you're really interested in weight training, you're probably going to want an Olympic bar at some point, and plenty of plates, including some rubberized bumper plates, because you may need to be dropping these on the ground, practicing some of the variations of Olympic lifting, for example, and so that's highly recommended. For anyone who's really serious about weight training and likes the idea of barbell training, that's a great investment. It'll serve you well for a long term. It'll last a lifetime. You're also probably going to want to look at a rack, in other words, a power rack, you know, a steel cage that you can use to set up some of the different exercises. They also make great attachment points for various bands and tubing, and most of them also come with the pull-up bar. So you're certainly addressing multiple needs with that. Heavy-duty matting is usually good when you have some of the barbells, and you know, you can figure out what you need to protect your floor as well. Then we go to the bands. Well, getting a set of resistance bands is great because this can allow you to add resistance to any exercise or add assistance to it. So if you don't have a ton of weight plates, you can make things heavier with the band. And also if you're doing certain exercises, like a pull-up, for example, you can use a band assist and make that very effective. In fact, for barbell training, especially for people who have a rack, I'll often recommend getting 2 sets, because then you can rig up the barbell on either side very effectively. Another option that's popular for folks is a weight vest, and any style of that can be quite useful. You can also use a backpack and put some weight in it that's equally effective, but that's, you know, does provide a great option for training. And then there are tons and tons of other things. Many people like to have a stability ball, and that you can use oftentimes as a sitting alternative, a chair alternative at your workstation as well. But you can do a number of exercises with those, and it's kind of fun to have. A foam roller, same is true. You can use that in different applications for mobilizing tissue, but also a number of strength and balance movements can be done, and there are more. But the one final thing that's sitting here is, I usually recommend for every client to really think about what their needs are, what their goals are, what do they like, what do they not like, and then select one piece of aerobic training equipment. Down the road, maybe more, but just one, just pick one. And so if someone's let's say, a dedicated runner, and they have times in the year, whether it's really inclement weather in the winter or maybe even extreme heat in the summer. Maybe for that runner, the treadmill is a good choice. Or an avid walker, that's going to be true as well. Cyclists or people who love cycling, a spin bike, a Peloton bike, a higher level trainer for one's road or mountain bike. Again, those are great choices. But what I tend to talk to a lot of people about is if you're not really into doing steady state cardio for long periods of time, because it can be boring indoors, we might want to look at some other devices. Now, obviously, how you set your gym up and what kind of programming you might have available, whether that's music or video or something, or maybe this video, you can pass the time. But what I like to recommend is looking at a device that allows you to do some amount of warm up, cool down, easy aerobic training, but it's also really good for interval work. And so the rotors and the air bikes are quite effective in that application. Not too much investment on the front end, long service life, and quite a bit of variability with how we can design training such that they'll get used and not become things that you just hang your clothing on. So hopefully you got some things out of this, guys. Thanks a lot for joining me today. And if you have other questions, you can certainly look at the many resources that are available at thelifetimeathlete.com and even contact me with questions if you have them.